I'd like to call
We'd like to call the October 2nd, 2017 meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Dominic, Johnson, Jackson, Lynn,
Present.
Bowman, Cawthorn, Gates Watts,
Present.
Middleton, Atkins, Chavez,
Here, sir.
Smith, Lewis Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
All right, we would have our invocation by Commissioner Gerald Bowman and our pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Oh God, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. Father God, we ask for forgiveness of sins. Lord, I ask that you just bless our country right now. Bless the victims in Las Vegas, Lord. Bless our citizens in Puerto Rico. Father God, just bless us as a whole, even the city and parish. Touch each and every one of us, Lord. Help us to remember and be guided by why we're here, God, and continue to allow us to put the people first, God, and just guide us, Lord. And even if we disagree, which we will, help us to still remember our purpose so we can come back amicably and all as one. Lord, just guide us. Bless this parish. These are the blessings I ask and think in your Son, Jesus' name, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag, military veterans and actives, hand the brow, and all others hand on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda addition?
Yes, sir, we have two agenda additions today. We have two resolutions. One resolution approving the holding of an election in Caddo Parish Fire District Number 3, and the other one being approving the issuance of not exceeding $15 million, a certificate of indebtedness in one or more series for Communications District Number 1 of Caddo Parish.
Okay, we will now have a public hearing on resolution 78. Are these two separate? They're separate?
Yeah, well, let's probably do them separately.
Okay.
We need a motion to expand the agenda
Make a
first.
motion to expand the agenda.
Second.
To include
Second.
resolution item number 78 of 2017. Do I need to do both of them at one time or separate?
We can expand them both at the same time.
And also resolution number 79 of 2017, please.
Okay. All right, there's a motion to expand the agenda, motion by Commissioner Doug Dominic, second by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. We now open the floor up for public hearing.
Anybody speak for or against?
Speak for or against
Expanding the
expanding the agenda. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of adding resolution 78 of 2017? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of adding resolution number 79 of 2017? All right. I see none.
There being none, I guess we just need to vote to expand and move to new business, under new business.
All right. Commissioner Lyndon Johnson for a question.
On both of these resolutions, are they on being added because of the election timeline crunch or what?
Yes, so that's part of it, and it's part of that your clerk missed them
Oh,
on
okay.
Friday.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Fire District 3, it's in my district. I'm not aware of it, but I want to support it.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Clerk, would you say that what's on Friday?
When I sent the agenda Thursday, Friday, I had two working files, and one did not transfer to the other working file, and
I
it hit
understand.
me last night sitting in my chair.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Seeing no more questions, please vote on expanding the agenda. All right, that passes, that fails.
What?
11-1. All right. It should
Smith,
be
you intend to
unanimous.
vote for or against that?
Okay. So he's
How did you vote on that, sir?
four. Okay.
Okay, he voted for.
All
So
right,
just
that
correct
passes, so that passes 12-0. All right, that passes 12-0. The agenda is expanded, and we'll get to those on the resolutions under new business. All right, next,
Next, we move to citizen comments.
All right, citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen is limited to 3 minutes. Lex, can you hear me? I'm good, she can't hear me. All right, I'll call them as I have them. Salvation Army, you can hear me? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suspend the rules and allow the Salvation Army 10 minutes to speak because they won't be able to be here Thursday. I initially would have had them on the agenda as a visitor for Thursday, but they won't be able to be here.
Any objection to the suspension of the rules? So there's a motion by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Gage Watts. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, the rules are suspended for 10 minutes.
Hi, good
Thank
evening.
you.
My name is Paige Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club. Last year, we serviced over 800 youth in the Queensboro neighborhood from all schools in Caddo Parish. We currently operate an after-school program from 3 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. We also do a summer program from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m., and we also operate extracurricular activities. Right now, we are coming to the commission to ask for financial support. We are actually in the process of going through some issues, and so what I would like to do is that I would like to call our commanding officer of the Salvation Army, Ray Morton, to expand on what we're asking.
Thank you all. And one of the things that I'd like to mention is that we're currently facing a shortfall in our Boys and Girls Club, Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club program of $100,000. And what we'd like to do is we're looking for ideas and opportunities to meet that $100,000 shortfall in the short term. One of the things, as I got in command about 3 months ago, we're kind of assessing the community support for all of the programs that we have here in Shreveport. The club is currently one of the ones that we are reviewing. And as such, what we're doing is assessing that community support of this program. What we do understand is that it's tight for everybody, and what we're asking for is some kind of support to give us a little bit more time to assess the validity of this program in this area for the long term. We're not expecting any kind of long-term solution. We're looking for some opportunity to continue to assess, like I said, the validity of this program. It is a viable program. It is working to meet the needs of youth in that community. However, without an increase in community support, not just from this group, but period, it is something that we will have to consider long-term solutions for, potentially including even the closure or changing of that program. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey. All right. Is there a motion to go back into regular order? Second. Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Gage Watts to go back into regular order. Is there any objection to going back into regular order? All right. Next, I have Ms. Cindy Morris, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, incorrect. Morris.
Good afternoon. I'm Cindy Morris. Do I still need to give you my address? Is that still protocol?
You don't have to.
Okay. I'm Cindy Morris, Dr. Wilson. I brought Brent Tollner in for y'all to meet with him. I'm here today because I'm so sad about a situation that's happened at Caddo Parish Animal, and I refuse to call it what the name is, but the dog pound, that an innocent citizen's pet accidentally was killed last week. I'm speaking that had its head cut off because it was, they thought rabid, and so they sent the head off, right? It was the wrong animal. Well, how would y'all feel if it was your grandchild's pet or your child's? I know some of y'all don't care about animals and don't really care what happens out there, but you know what? It's on your watch. It's on your watch. It's on your shoulders. If you go to church on Sunday and you and you say, I'm a churchgoer and I'm a deacon or a deaconess, and I pray to God that I'm a good person, and you have children and you raise those children up to be good people, how can you allow what's happening out there? It's every week before last, they were selling dogs. Several months ago, it was bestiality. I mean, aren't you embarrassed? Don't you care? Do you not have pride? I know y'all do. You're elected officials. You're here to serve us. And we can't do anything but come here and complain and voice our opinion. Y'all are the ones who can do the axing. Y'all can take this in hand and change this and make us develop a system out there that's great, that we can be proud of. Look at Austin Pets Alive. They turned their facility around and it was just like ours. It was as bad. We have underfed animals. We have dogs fighting for food. They're sitting on chemically wet concrete all day long. And now they're accidentally killing a pet. The woman goes out there and they cut the cat's head off. So she says, can I at least have the body to cremate? I mean, really? Come on. We're begging y'all to do something. We have a great group of citizens here, and we're really not mad all the time, and we really want to help. But when your back's to the corner, you kind of get like this. But we're here to help too. Thank you.
Thank you, John Settle.
John Settle for Tillwood. I published an article this last week talking about the practical and legal consequences of a public restroom at the courthouse. It appeared on the Times website Thursday. I made a mistake in that, and we attempted to correct part of it and was unsuccessful. Number one, as I stated in there that the property around the courthouse was owned by the city, and of course that's totally wrong. We know that within the parameters of the sidewalk, it's owned by the parish, except for that little square that the monument's on. But that's an issue that y'all don't want to deal with in court or something. But I want to correct my column that the courthouse square is not owned by the city. In a Times interview, Commissioner Lynn made the comment that the doors would automatically open to the Porthouse Loo, and that would solve the homeless problem. And I made a comment on that as well. Interestingly enough, the Times is read by people in Portland. I received an email on Thursday from an Evan Madden with the Porthouse Loo, and he told me the front door of the restroom is not automated and does not open or close on its own. So if y'all are really worried about the opening and closing door, if that's going to be the key factor in a couple of weeks as to whether or not you vote for the loo or not, you can rest assured it's not going to open automatically. So I know that's something that's probably heavy on your mind. And the other thing is I've been contacted by a lot of people who want to have a Celebrate at the Loo week, and I'll probably address you on Thursday because people want to have a big event to bring people downtown, have a christening, a luau at the loo, and a lot of events like that. But I'll make sure if they do that they get a permit so we're in compliance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Settle.
Next, Mr. Clerk.
We have no visitors, no old business. We move to new business. Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5719 of 2017, proposing an amendment to Caddo Parish Home Rule Charter relative to Section 3-09, independent audit.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
I'd like to speak on it.
Go ahead.
Yes. Over the last month, I sent all of my fellow commissioners, I sent to all of y'all a legislative guideline for governmental bodies to follow. Along with the guidelines that I sent you as far as legislative bodies and how they should operate, we also invited in some state representatives from the auditing group, and they conducted a class on the best auditing functions for a governmental entity. They did that a couple of weeks ago, and several of y'all attended, and thank you very much. In front of you, I've attached just one page from the state legislative auditor's best practices in government. And what it talks about is auditing procedures over policy and procedure, that the legislative body should be able to audit policies and procedures over functions that are underneath the executive branch. I'll give you one of the most current scenarios. I believe that if the way Caddo Parish is set up right now, that over my last 9 years as a commissioner, that if I could have fixed all the problems out at Caddo Parish Animal Services, that I would have already done that. I believe that everybody that works here, that if we could have fixed those, we would have already fixed those. And so what this amendment to our charter would allow, it would allow the commission body to hire a company that would look at Caddo Parish Animal Services, or even other entities of Caddo Parish, on a rotating basis, to make sure that we're following what's known as best recognized practices across the United States, comparing Caddo Parish to similar sized governments with similar sized populations with about the same amount of money, and making sure that we're doing everything we can do to serve the public properly. So what I ask y'all to do is, if you would please at least move to Thursday this vote to allow the legislative body to operate as is recognized as best practices by the Louisiana State Legislative Auditor, as well as the National State Auditor and all auditing groups that meet. Thank you.
All right, Vice President Dominic.
Yeah, I do know that if I'm correct, our charter provides that there is, especially for you New York commissioners, a charter review committee. That charter review committee meets every 4 years to make recommendations to us, to the commission body. Those are the items that are placed before the people and voted on by the people, if I'm correct, Dr. Wilson. I think the last time they met was in 2016, before you guys or the new guys were on the commission. I will tell you this, you got to be careful, and I think we're treading on a thin line when we're not letting the independent body, the Charter Review Committee, make this recommendation. For example, what I'm telling you, this has to go on the vote for the people. Okay, if this is held at the next election, it's going to probably cost us, Erica, how much? Where's Erica at?
225 if we're the only one.
$225,000.
That's a lot of money.
In March. It's a lot of money, to be placed on the ballot. Now, if we hold it next year with the federal election, you're looking at about $20,000. Okay? We don't say when we're going to hold this election. I'll tell you also, if y'all remember, when the Charter Review Committee made a recommendation, every recommendation that Charter Review Committee recommended that was put on the ballot passed. The one that didn't pass was the one that this body recommended, which was to extend our terms from 12 years to 20 years. That caused a debt service millage that we needed to fail. We came back about 3 months later and put that back on the ballot. And we caught so much negative slack about coming to the bite of the apple twice, having both voted the debt service recently and came back again and asked for the debt service, that it failed a second time. These are the things that are making our renewals fail. We have to be prudent with our money. I understand Commissioner Lynn's issue concerning the internal audit, but maybe there's a better way to look at this stuff. We're looking at it right now. Commissioner Atkins and I have talked about having a finance committee next year possibly that would have some oversight on some of these issues. But the way it stands right now, we are not a police jury. We are a Caddo Parish Commission. We are a commission form of government that was voted back in when?
81.
Tell me, somebody?
1982.
Henry Bernstein, where you at?
We got it.
Overwhelmingly by the people. Y'all talking about vote for the people, and it gave the power for the day-to-day structures to this administration. Have we had problems? Yes. especially animal control, yes, but we're trying the best to fix those. And I'm sorry for the problems that this young lady had, and we know that there are problems out there, but we're trying to work to fix that. And I'm not gonna get into that because that's a day-to-day activity. But I suggest that we vote no on this. It's not something prudent just to be put on it is not prudent for one commissioner to put this on our agenda without it having been vetted, talked about, gone to a committee, and in particularly the Charter Review Committee. That's why you have a Charter Review Committee. We need to vote this down no right now.
Commissioner Atkins.
I agree with Commissioner Dominic. This is an issue that should be addressed through the Charter Review Committee. We need to be very careful about making amendments to the Home Rule Charter. So I am in favor of not advancing this issue. If this is an important issue, it can be raised in the next Charter Review. I believe that it's appropriate to have an audit committee that oversees financial audits. But when we start talking about operational issues, that's a whole nother ball of wax. So let's not advance this. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've heard talk about the Charter Review Committee. Well, when you look at the Charter Review Committee, it's basically citizens that we select to be on that committee, along with the administrator, parish attorney. So there's no one that's really adverse in the homeroom charter no more than us. I mean, we actually look at this and live by it for at least 4 years. So to say if we see something where there is a problem, then we should be able to put this on the agenda, and we do have the right to put some on the agenda at any time. And it takes 7 votes to move anything. 8 votes if it's dealing with the charter. So, I mean, one person can't make the whole world change, but at the same time, it takes a team of us to make it happen. We can put things on the ballot, on the agenda at any time. On these line items, you see commissioners' names all the time. It don't say different committees, but it says commissioners' names. So we can do that. The ballot part of it, if it does pass, I mean, with common sense, we won't put this on the ballot by itself to charge the parish $200,000. It would be with another election, which the next major election will be the mayor, school board, city council race, all those races. That would be the ballot that you would put it on, and not a single ballot that would cost us $200,000. So don't swing it way over there and put all this fear in when it's basically something that could be done with another major election. And if we see an issue, which we know that there's issues with animal services, and so just trying to make a change to see if we can do something different. That's all that Matthew is trying to do with this proposal. It's not perfect. It never be perfect. I mean, everything we do down here is not perfect. We try to do the best we can with the information that we have and the knowledge that we have, but we just do what we can try to do to benefit the citizens of Caddo Parish. And right now, what we're doing is not working, because this lady would not have come down here today. There would not be other issues that's been going on in this particular area. So the charter doesn't allow us to do it right now, and he see that there's a void, and that's what he's trying to do. And you can either support it or vote it down. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I find it interesting that this is on the agenda. I think if Cindy hadn't come down here, my mind may have been differently. However, with our form of government, we put everything in the hands of Dr. Wilson, and we hope that he carries it out. And as far as the parish seems concerned, he's doing a great job. But what policies and protocols do we have in place where when we think he's not? Because I'm sorry, Dr. Wilson, but not only you yourself, but myself as a commissioner and these 12 board members have obviously failed. Caddo Parish Animal Shelter has failed. What protocol do we have to put in place to say, all right, this isn't working. We haven't done it. If we had to put all of our trust in you to run it, and we've gotten time after time after time bombarded with these true allegations from Caddo Parish Animal Shelter, what do we do? I think this is it. We have something in place to say, we're failing, we're not doing a good job. Let's bring in an expert to say, tell us what needs to be done. And this isn't nothing to belittle you, Dr. Wilson, on how you're doing the parish, how you're running the parish, because everything else is doing great. But animal services is failing miserably, and I blame myself and you and everybody down there. I'm sorry, guys, but the rest of us around here. So I'm glad it's on here. Thank you, Commissioner Lynn, because something needs to be done. I'm tired of hearing these guys come down here. No offense, guys, but I'm tired of it because we keep putting our trust in what's not working. So if we keep on doing the same thing and it's not working, obviously something's got to give. So I hope you guys support this, and we bring in an expert that's going to go down there and tell us this is what you guys are doing wrong. That's all, President.
All right. Louis.
It cleared, the machine went down and it cleared, so.
Okay, so if you're gonna get in, get back in.
I'm in a hurry.
Okay. Commissioner Lewis then.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone that's spoken so far, and I think that we agree that there are some concerns as it relates to the shelter, and I think everyone has a concern about it and want to do what's best and come to a resolve so that we can make it the best that it can be. I do not appreciate this issue being an animal shelter issue. I appreciate it as being an area of which we have people in place who do a great job and who have audits and have checks and balances in place that has also identified that they're doing a good job. So for us to think that, or for us to conclude that because we're having a concern in one area, and of course we will have some concerns in some areas, I think that my confidence is in our administration. And of course, if we feel that because there are problems in one area or another, that constitutes failure, then I think that that gives us an opportunity to identify what needs to be done and to, first of all, show compassion and concern for the young lady that came forward today. And I think that in her presentation, she said that there might be those amongst us who do not care. I disagree with that. I think that we do care, and that we have a responsibility to identify it and to do what we can in order to correct that problem. But more importantly, I think that we owe it to this administration to recognize that when we put forth an opportunity to identify what's the best way to do things, no one wants that more than they do. That's what they do. So as it relates to our administration, as it relates to our finance administrators, I think that they're doing a good job. And to put ourselves in a position where we are even considering altering or bringing a change of charter into place, to do that, I think would be questionable at best. So I think that my vote is going to be one of confidence for what we do have in place, and for us as commissioners to identify concerns when we have them. It would be different if we had administrators that we could not talk to, that you could not go to, that was not accessible to us. We don't have that. We have an administrator that if you have a concern, that's any one of us. We have the ability to take those concerns to our administrator, and to this point, who is open to those concerns and to do what is in the best interest of our citizens. I think that we've done that. So for that reason, my concern is different, and I will be opposing it for that reason.
Let me just say, I've heard the issue, and Commissioner Lyndon Johnson spoke about the charter review. Nothing limits us in the charter for bringing something without a charter review. If you look back, I believe Attorney Frazier sent out some minutes from the initial charter review, citizens review committee that set up this form of government, and nothing in there said that it is limited to just citizens. We have the authority to put things on the ballot. All this is a referendum, hopefully, and I assume, aren't we gonna put some tax renewals? Aren't we gonna put a renewal back on there?
In November, yes, sir.
In November. So we know we're gonna be on the ballot next year, in November, for sure. Well, that's the plan, is to put some renewals back out there in November.
Yes, sir.
So we know we're gonna attempt to go back on the ballot. I will say, this is not about any individual. This is about good government, best practices. As a young man sitting back there in that corner, he snuck in, and he often flies under the radar, but Art Thompson, who was the clerk for the city council, under him, or under the city council, is an internal audit, the legislative function of the city council. This is about asking citizens, the people for whom we work for, what are the best, what would they prefer as our method of best practice. When this was brought to my attention that we did not have this, this audit function or this error, I felt sort of remiss. Again, this is not a slight on how well we think somebody is doing or how bad we think somebody is doing. This, in my opinion, is not about animal services, isolated. This is about setting up a system and a process that we can have confidence in. Not saying that we do not have confidence at all. I'm not questioning our administrators' confidence or integrity. I wouldn't dare do that. But when you look at the state has a legislative auditor that reports to the legislature, not the governor. The city council has an internal auditor that reports to the city council, not the mayor. If you go to the federal government, they have inspector generals that report to Congress, not the president. And it is set up that way so that it can be independent. This is about process. This is not about personalities and people. This is about a process. And so I would support simply putting this charter amendment to the people to determine. That's all this is putting this vote to the people to determine. Commissioner Dominic, second time.
Yeah, just, first of all, I think the charter is like our Constitution. Again, agree with Commissioner Atkins. We have to be careful about what we put on the ballot before the people. Number two, I never said that we couldn't. I just said that the proper protocol would seem to have brought this before a committee to be voted on or vetted out more than just being put on our before us by one commissioner. You know, we're not perfect, but Dr. Wilson, I agree with Commissioner Lewis Johnson. You're doing a wonderful job. You have a AAA bond rating. You've worked extremely hard, and obviously we do have some problems out there at animal control at certain times. But I agree with exactly what Lewis Johnson said. If your question, what we can't do, he's open. You can go talk to him, and if he is not willing to talk to you, I've told you this, grab me, grab Commissioner Atkins, grab Commissioner Lewis Johnson, or 3 or 4 of us go talk to him if something is not being done. If it's still not something being done, we bring him before here and fire him. We have the ability to do that. But I think he's doing a good job. I don't think we need to put this before the people. I think it's a waste of money and a waste of time.
All right, Commissioner Lynn, second time.
The piece of paper that I gave y'all, it has 7 items on it in reference to good governmental practices. And it's very simple. You can check the yes box that you follow what's recognized as the nationally known and the state known best practices for legislative functioning. There's a yes box to check and there's a no box to check, and there's 7 items on it. Of those 7 items on it, we have to check no on all 7 items because we're not following what's known as the best way for government to operate for transparency. And so all I'm asking is, yes, it's going to cost the parish $20,000, and as much money as we burn through on other stuff, I think it's worth it to send this to the citizens and let the citizens vote and let them decide, do they want us as a governmental body to follow what's proven by the National Association of Auditors and the State Association by Auditors and recommended by the Louisiana State Auditor as best means of conducting our governmental business? Or do we want to continue to check these boxes no that say, no, we want to continue to operate in a fashion that is not recognized as best practices? I'm going to continue to do the best job I can. If it means, putting things on the agenda all by myself, then that's what I'm going to do. It's my goal that Caddo Parish be the best governmental body in the world. That people look and they say, they're really pulling it together down there. They're obeying every rule that you're supposed to follow. They're following best proven policies and procedures as recognized, proven across the world. And this is all I'm asking us to do. I'm asking us to send to the voters the option of, do the voters want us to follow best known proven policies as proved by the National Board of Auditors of Governments, the State Board of Auditors of Governments, and the local board. I sent you all the giant package to read. I know it's a lot to read. We had the meeting where they came and they spoke. I'm happy to ask them to come back and talk about it on another time. I'm happy to set up a meeting throughout this week if y'all want to move it to Thursday. I ask that y'all please move this to Thursday so that we can just simply give the citizens of Caddo Parish the option to vote at the cost of $20,000 at our next regular parish-wide election, not a special election, but the next parish-wide election. Give the citizens of Caddo Parish the option of letting us operate under best known proven policies. What was sent and what's in front of you, I didn't write that. Attorney Frazier wrote that, and she was sent all of these rules that they follow, and I did not hold her hand when she wrote it. I said, please just look at the laws that are recognized by nationally governmental auditors and just try to get us in that direction. And she did a fabulous job. She did it on the first pass. I sent this to a few judges and they said it looked great. I sent it to some other auditors. They said it looked great. That's all I ask, is at least move it to Thursday and read it. Read what I sent you, ask some questions. We'll bring in some non-partial governmental watchdogs to give their opinion on it, and give it a chance. Don't kick it in the gut before you give transparency a chance. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Bowman, first time.
I'll just be brief. And for the record, I'm going to support for the idea and recommendation what you have for best practices. I think we all should learn from best practices, and someone said the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So we all have room for improvement. So for that, I will support this and move forward. And I also want to say, I know in the area of animal services, we've made some progression. This is tied in, and I agree with Commissioner Chavez that we have failed in that area miserably, but we can still salvage and make things happen from that. But the main question I do want to have with this, and it may seem off the wall, is I just want to know is, could we have done this differently? Like, could we have gotten together and made a recommendation that with administration that, hey, we feel that we can at least have some type of committee that'll be external audit, and that they could also follow these practices? I'm just asking in general.
I'm having it. I'm clumsy and I'm awkward, and I apologize if I offend anybody. That's certainly not my intention. My intention is to be expedient and get the truth out as fast as I can get the truth out, and I know that sometimes that hinders the end effort, and I apologize for that.
Okay.
With that we are a body. We are a body sitting in front of a group of people, and we don't have a time limit, and I can stay here.
You don't have the floor.
Oh, I don't have the floor. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate it. Yes, sir. That was it. That's what the main thing. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Atkins, second time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's be clear. I'm focusing on a governance issue here, not whether there are issues that need to be fixed.
Right.
So by being concerned about bringing this issue up about changing the charter, that's my big area of focus. I know we have areas that need to be fixed, and I want to be clear about that. But the best practices that Commissioner Lynn keeps referring to is a Louisiana legislative auditor best practices for internal auditing departments. We don't have an internal auditing department. This is not, well, there's nowhere does the recommendation suggest that we have an internal audit department, nor am I recommending we have one. My point is that this is designed for, these checkpoints that Commissioner Lynn is referring to is designed around processes associated with an internal auditing department. We don't have one. These checkpoints are not relevant to our current organization and how we're structured. Again, the charter issue is a governance issue, and I think we need to be very careful about modifying our charter. I think we can get these same results through forming some other committee or something along those lines, an audit committee that not only does financial audits, perhaps it does do operational audits, but I think we really need to be careful about making modifications to our charter, and we also need to be very careful about getting too deeply ingrained into the operations. We're not structured, our charter does not support us getting deeply involved into operations, and if you start going down the operational audit path, it will suck us into operations. So again, I think this is sacred ground that we don't need to be treading on, although there are problems that need to be fixed. Thank you.
I just wanted, for clarification, there will still have to be a charter amendment for the committee to address operational, because right now it only is specific to financial. Commissioner Lewis-Jones.
On my last point, Commissioner Atkins made one of them as related to the relevance of it, with this being for an auditing department. And to those who don't have it before you, Commissioner Lynn is correct when he says that there are 7 on this list, but I don't know how many there are in all. It's of 109 that shows here. So there were 7 that we're looking at, but my math tells me there's another 102 that may or may not have been checked off positively if we're going to simply look at the numbers that were given to us. So just for numbers' sake, being that we were provided with numbers and say there are 7, yeah, but there's 109 that I'm looking at here. So at least consider that there's even more to it than just those numbers, if it's numbers that we're going to consider. Thank you.
Commissioner Gage-Watts for the first time. Second. All right, Commissioner Gage-Watts has called for a question. Chair seconds. All right. All right. All right, question has been called, 11:01. Please vote for introduction to move it to Thursday. Move it to Thursday. This is for just introduction.
Move
And
to
it'll
Thursday
be-
for introduction.
Right, for introduction, it will not be considered until
That's
2
correct.
weeks. Anybody had a vote? All right, that is introduced, 9-3.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5720 of 2017, proposing an amendment, Caddo Parish Home Rule Charter relative to section 4-05, powers and duties of the administrator.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
All right, moved by the Commissioner Matthew Lynn, second by Commissioner Chavez. All right, are y'all in?
Okay.
This just ties into the second part. It was a grammatical correction that Donna had to make in order for the first part to make sense.
Okay. You have,
On my second, this is, obviously I think Woody's doing a great job and everything else, but if Woody's not here in the future and somebody else is here, then I think this is a good idea to have as far as transparency for the same reporting. So I'm gonna move to pass it forward.
okay. All right, there being no more questions, Commissioner Dominic was in by accident.
We vote?
Yes. That passes 9-3.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5721, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund and the general fund in the amount of $134,000 to provide an appropriation to place a Portland Loo on the grounds of the Caddo Parish Courthouse.
I'd like to make a motion to move this to long-range planning, if I can get a second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Chavez, second by Commissioner Lynn Carthon. Please vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to speak on your motion?
Absolutely. Obviously, this has been a controversial issue, and it came out of a necessity for I don't want to call it a threat, but there was a known issue at the courthouse. So my best resolution to combat that issue was this, but I realize that a lot of citizens have an issue with it or some reservations. So I think it'd be prudent and beneficial for the group to move it to long-range planning and discuss it, and then we can see if this isn't the best solution, what may be. Because obviously we do know we have a problem, so I think we need to address the solution. That's all.
All right. Do you want to speak on your second? No. All right, Commissioner Dominic.
Yeah, I would say not move it. Let's just vote this down no. I call this the porta potty ordinance. I understand that this came before us because of a recommendation by the sheriff. I don't think there was any threat. It was a recommendation for, quote, health and safety. Health comes before safety in the alphabet, but I think the majority of it had to do with safety. It was having to do with the fence to be built around the courthouse. We've changed this issue from being a safety issue to a homelessness issue. We're talking about spending $134,000 for a porta potty. That's exactly what it is. I don't think we have the money and resources to spend $134,000 for a porta potty to be placed at the courthouse. I think that this is crazy. I think we need to vote it no. We need to vote it not to go to the committee. Let's just vote this down and move on to better and other things. I think if we want to address the homelessness issue, let's take that $134,000 and give it to a homeless shelter.
Second.
We don't need to be making this on a porta potty issue. I saw the drawings and I understand the concept behind it, but where are we going to put it? Is it going to be hooked up to a sewer? Is it going to be hooked up to the water line? Is it going to be on the city property? Is it going to be on the parish property? Where exactly is it going to go? When we were talking about aesthetics, this is not going to be very aesthetic to the courthouse. I do not want a porta potty at the Caddo Parish Courthouse. I say vote no.
What about across the street?
Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
I encourage us to please just send it to committee, because ultimately we can put it back in committee anyway, or the chair of that can. I think that I have recognized that there's a lot of people that don't want it on the courthouse, and I am comfortable with it not being on the courthouse property. However, it's a numbers game with homeless people. Homeless people are going to be, homeless is a dated term. Transient people are going to be on the transient people are going to be on the courthouse grounds, because that's where the most traffic is, and they ask for money. And so because that is where they are located, that is where they are when they have to defecate. And so something close to the courthouse would work. We have a lot of partners that we need to work with on this. We have the library system, we have the DDA, and they have not been to the table, and I think that they need to be invited to the table, and let's all come together and figure out where would be the best location for this, because the transients aren't leaving, and when they have to go, they have to go, just like every single other one of us. And if all the doors are locked, they're going to go wherever it's easiest for them. Something like this would provide the option of them not locking themselves in a business in downtown Shreveport. It would provide us with the option of them not locking themselves in the bathroom inside the library. And so this serves a whole lot of the population, and I believe that we can do it in a fashion where the location is not as invasive as as the courthouse grounds would indicate them to be according to some of our fellow commissioners. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, sir, thank you. I just want to have a point of clarification while we're sending it back to committee, or trying to. If you all recall, let the record show, it was in my committee when we had, and it already came out. We need to just vote on it and just do what we need to do. Make an amendment or do something else, but this going back and forth to committees for us just to delay, you know, it seems like we're doing things more for delay instead of making decisions, and that's just my opinion. I do agree, maybe not at the courthouse, but I definitely support, as the vote said in committee, which is supposed to be for us now, a year later, for us to have one somewhere downtown, because what seems to be an issue is not going away, and we need to help them help us. And it could be you one day. You may be up today, but anybody can be down the same day.
Commissioner Cochran.
Yes, just for the record, I want the commissioner to know I cautioned our exuberant Mr. Commissioner Chavez that this needed to be thought through before putting it on the agenda. I'm a type of individual that, you know, something looks nuanced, it needs to be vetted and thought through. I also told him that stuff that looks to be a good idea in Portland probably won't be such a good idea in the deep south, Shreveport, Louisiana. But having said that, I will be very interested to be convinced by Mr. Chavez that this would be a good idea. So that's why I second the motion, and I would be encouraged to see further discussion as it relates to this.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, Commissioner Mills.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I appreciate the innovative idea that Commissioner Chavez has offered, but I'm going to have to vote no about sending a committee and voting off of the agenda completely. Commissioner Dominic really gave a very passionate call that he doesn't want the portable potties on the courthouse square, and I have to second that right there. There's so many resources downtown. It's not far to the rescue mission, and we have people that get fed downtown, and then the library is pretty much occupied by a lot of the folks that are needing that help during the day. I just don't think it's going to be, I don't think we're in the social issue. I mean, we do a lot of things, don't get me wrong, to help the social issues, but I don't think we need to be trying to do something that's going to attract the folks down to the courthouse square. I mean, we already consider we have some potential hazardous situations, safety and security for themselves as well as the rest of the public, as far as it would probably increase the likelihood of panhandling. And we've had some aggressive panhandling going on downtown too, that I've witnessed myself and had no idea who I was, and other people too that I've heard it. We need to do what we can to discourage this. I would also like to see this further. I would like to ask the city of Shreveport to remove the benches that are in front of the courthouse. I think that also is enticing folks to come down and have a place to stay and to hang out. You go down there, right now today I went down through there and I didn't see any of the people that work in the courthouse being able to enjoy those benches, and I never do anymore. It's not like it used to be. The Bible says we'll always have the poor amongst us, and I don't think we're going to be able to relieve this, I'm sorry about that term, take care of this issue by putting a potty down there. Again, I appreciate you coming up with it, Mario. I'd look for maybe another different idea, but $150,000 to take care of it, plus the upkeep of it. Just a few folks that we have these issues with. I would like to encourage them to move to the rescue missions, and we have several of them in town. There's one out on Greenwood Road, one out on McNeil, the Salvation Army. We have so many, and I know a lot of people just don't want to be compliant. Well, that's their decision to be non-compliant with the rules of the particular places they can get help. And so for that and many other reasons, I'm just going to have to vote it down to go in committee and just go ahead and get it off the agenda completely. But thank you, Mario, for bringing it forward. That's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay. Just want to insert that I've heard from DDA, the courthouse, and its monument, unfortunately, happens to be physically located in my district. And so I've heard from DDA, I've heard from Christopher Zaglia, who would Hope Connections. I've also heard from the library director. And the only reason why I'll support it going to committee is to they seem to want to have some discussion I don't know if they were included in the last discussion, but they emailed me this morning wanting to have some more discussion. Kevin, are the homeless allowed to use the restrooms in the courthouse?
If they go through security, they can.
I got you. Okay. So they seem to see, they think that there's some probably low-cost way to remedy the situation. And our new library director is very innovative. He has some thoughts about a lot of stuff. So to just kind of hear them out, you know, I'll support it going to the committee. Commissioner Gage-Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to ask Commissioner Dominic, did you make a motion about giving $134,000 to the homeless shelters?
I did not.
I was willing to second it.
Yeah, I was also.
I'm just saying, if it does, you got 134 plus 20 every year. That's the way.
Right.
Yeah, that is the direction we should be going in. However, I do agree that there is a need for some
But you're on the
outdoor
record.
public facilities downtown. I am totally against putting it on the courthouse grounds, as we have already vetted thoroughly around this horseshoe that it's not a good idea to add anything else to those courthouse grounds. So respectfully, we started talking about this in committee last year about some places that there are need for that public facility.
Right.
So I would like for this to go back to the committee without saying the courthouse grounds. Would you
Okay.
accept that as a friendly amendment?
Absolutely. Well,
I don't think it matters how it goes back to
Yeah, I
the
don't-
committee.
Okay.
let's just set it to committee and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I support it to go back to
Kill
committee.
All right, Commissioner, that's it.
That's
Commissioner-
it, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Commissioner Dominic, you in rare form today. I want you to know that.
And he's on the record.
Yeah. You know, we can actually vote on this, and it still can go to committee. I mean, the committee chair can bring it up and put it on the agenda. So it doesn't have to say, well, depending on what we do here, you can still put it on your agenda when you have a committee meeting. So right now, I would be voting no, because I think that there are other things that we could possibly do. But once you get it on the committee, y'all can talk about some other issues, maybe some other places to put it at, some other buy-in from some other downtown organizations that might be willing to do something else or to help do some kind of compromise with it. But right now, with $134,000, what Commissioner Dominic talked about just haphazardly of giving it to a homeless shelter, I think that's really what, if we're gonna spend that type of money, we should be trying to do, is help one of those homeless shelters kind of shelter these people into that facility to help them get to a better place in life. And I have to disagree with Commissioner Middleton about, he sort of mentioned something about quality of life. We are responsible for the quality of life in Caddo Parish. We not 100%, but we are responsible. And if it's something that we could do to make somebody's life better, we should be trying to do it. We've done it in the past when there's been catastrophes, the tornadoes, the floods. We stepped up to the plate and we helped those that was in need. And so I see this no differently. I mean, you could have somebody that was a bank president that's homeless now, has nowhere to go. So he goes out there, sleeps on the bench. Doesn't mean that, you know, he can't rebound. Everybody that's out there can rebound. There's stars all the time talk about how they slept in cars. Wow. And you know, it went from meal to meal. And one day they made it. You could have the same thing out there in front of the courthouse right now. So we need to give them opportunities to get back on their feet whatever way we can with reasonable funds. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez, second time.
Thank you, President. Guys, I think we should search our heart. And some of us around here may need to feel a little more convicted about the way that they feel. Our job is to work for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And those people aren't just the ones that have money in their back pocket.
Amen.
He said, whatsoever you do for the least of mine.
Do it also unto
That means
me.
the sick and the poor. The sick that are mentally sick down there that choose to live down there. The poor that are broke. Thank you, LBJ. Thank you, Bowman. We're in charge of those. We're in charge of the parish. We've been put in these positions to care for everybody.
That's right.
The people that are taxpayers today may not be taxpayers tomorrow, and vice versa. And it may not be because they choose not to pay the taxes. It may be because they can't.
Amen.
And sure, I agree with you guys. On the courthouse lawn may not be the best place for this, and that's not what I'm proposing. The place that we proposed was on the side of it, on the side of the courthouse where the utility is, where you don't see it. But I'm open to stuff. I'm open to say, hey, can we put it over by the library? Can we stop people from locking themselves in the library bathroom and taking all that time from the people that want to use the library bathroom? How can we combat what we're stuck with? Because this is our jobs as legislators. We're stuck with this situation, so how can we do better? So what I want to do is move it to the long-range planning so we can actually look at it, look at the aesthetics, look at the cost. You mentioned $134,000 for a porta-john. Not to point fingers, but you want to put $200,000 toward a wrought iron fence. That's not going to help anybody.
You talking about me?
Yes, sir. So let's be honest. We're around this horseshoe to help people. Hold on, guys. This is serious.
It is.
This is a serious issue.
All right.
So our job is to figure out how can we address the concerns that some of our citizens have chosen us to address. And like I said, my idea may not be the best, but it's been out there. So let's move it to long-range planning. Let's look at the pros and the cons, and let's do our job. And that's it. Thanks, President.
I just wanted to point out that, as I said earlier, a couple weeks ago, Christopher Zagley has already, they have an identified funder who will match funding for a low restriction shelter. They have the property. We were just at Christian Services opening of their new facility, beautiful facility. You would not think that it's something for the homeless, the way it's designed and structured. But they are looking for matching funds. They have a private sector match that is willing and ready to go. They have the land located and secured, and they own it. So if we were willing to go that route, since somebody's talked about the shelter, I'd be willing to support that, and just want to be on the record. Commissioner Dominic.
Call for the question.
I think it's been called. I think it has been called.
Mr. President, could you, just to be clear on what we're voting on here?
Okay,
Question.
right now the question is being called. So the call for the question, which we kind of really don't need, but
Okay.
it was a motion and second. So we're calling on the question in this particular situation. I assume that the question has been called. Okay, the question has been called. So the motion is to refer this ordinance to the Long Range Planning Committee.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Smith.
All right, that is referred to Long Range Planning Committee, 7 to 5. Next.
Authorize resolution number 75 of 2017, authorizing parish administrator to enter into an agreement for consulting services to evaluate the parish's funding of the Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Commission.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
And I just wanted to have some quick comments on it. Dr. Wilson, are you okay with this? Because I was concerned that everybody would have, I know the MPC is a three-way sort of deal, the city, the parish, and of course the actual MPC. The MPC is doing a study, the city is doing a study. So my concern, as I discussed with you, was that we're the only one who seem to not have a study. So it says authorize an agreement. Do y'all have an organization, or do you know how we would get this done?
Yes, sir.
So you have a system or a process for which you could get this done. And
We talked to Mr. Bernstein about this already.
okay. And I also, Todd, I thought we were gonna attach it. I think I sent it over, but if we could get everybody a copy of the email of the MPC budget request, where I think we got a request for an increase, while the city also, it basically doubled what we've already been funding them, and the city decreased their funding share. So hopefully at the end of all of these studies, we wouldn't be the only ones sitting without a study.
Who would do such a thing?
It'll be attached for Thursday, sir.
Okay, appreciate it. Or if you want to slip it in the mailbox, either way, whatever is convenient for anybody. Commissioner Lynn on the board.
Not that I expect it to be, but can we wait until we get these other two studies in, because they might look favorable? I mean, they might not, but they might. I say that because I had a piece of property and I was selling it to a friend that was related, and then the first appraisal came in and I said, that's way too low, let me get my own appraisal. And I got my own appraisal and I said, we're going on my appraisal. Well, it was less than the first one. And so I had to, since I said it, I stuck to my word, and we went with the lower appraisal.
We interrupt this to
And
bring
so-
you the vote.
And so it's possible that their study might say something very favorable
Yeah,
dollar-wise to the parish, that's all.
Apples to oranges.
You're gonna send them the request that we got from the MPC, right? With an increase?
Yes,
Is that, okay. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Mine was similar to the same lines, but I was going to ask: Is this going to cost us money for the study, or will this be in house?
No, sir.
It will. We will have to pay for it.
Is it in your budget or something, or how are we gonna pay for it? I hadn't even discussed that.
We'll figure that out.
He can take care of that.
Okay.
Can we do a friendly amendment that we launch this, but we wait till after we read their study so that
I'm not open to that.
no okay.
Wait a minute.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'll go ahead and move it to Thursday then. Since
We
I
can
see
talk
Mark
after
out
the
here, thanks for opening for lunchtime. I appreciate that.
We can talk after the meeting, Commissioner Chavez.
That's
Lynn.
it.
Let's talk after. Commissioner Johnson, Linda Johnson.
Yeah, this is directed to Dr. Wilson. Have you been working on a plan anyway, besides this?
For the NPC?
For the NPC,
No,
yes.
sir.
Okay. Well, I think we do need to have something in place in case the city decide to do whatever they're gonna do.
Absolutely.
And we won't get caught blindsided by some expenses or some areas in which we shouldn't be covering. Because I know in some cities, the NPC or whatever commission that they use doesn't even cover outside the city limits. So, what we had developed included the 5 mile area, which is the part in which we participate in. But the thing outside that 5 mile area doesn't fall under NPC anyway. So I guess the study, to me, probably needs to run either right behind what they getting, or I don't see really why we do it at the same time. But I just think we got to have something in place so that if the city makes a change, that we're ready to make the change just as quick as they are.
Mr. Johnson, my understanding with Mr. Jackson, that's wants to do is take a look at the cost ratio study. I've already talked with staff about even if we had to man a department, what that would cost, and it's certainly more than what we pay now. But I think my task is to take a look and see what portion of cost we should be paying based on what they're doing for us.
Okay. Well, I'm totally against the new proposal of increasing hours and then decreasing the city.
I think we took a position. We ignored that.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so I thought this was more of a study of if they go in another direction instead
We
of
can include
funding.
that, if you wanna offer that as an amendment on Thursday.
Okay. Okay. Because I think that's more important if they go into another
Yeah,
direction
in light of that,
than the
Commissioner Johnson, we
the
will have to
funding.
figure out what the funding request would be for that service. I don't know at this present time.
Yeah. Because to me, the funding is set based upon our need for NPC use,
Right.
and right now it's not that high.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I guess we can work together in between now and hopefully Thursday, we
Right.
afford this on what the scope. I just wanted us to develop some kind of scope here at this
Right.
point.
Okay.
To get it started.
Yeah, I mislooked at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, please vote. This is advanced to Thursday,
Oh.
MPC fund.
I voted yes.
Okay.
We'll push the yes.
I did.
Yeah, you can re-push.
I re-pushed.
All right, that passes 12-0. Introduced to Thursday.
Authorize resolution number 76 proclaiming and supporting October's Domestic Violence Month.
I make a motion to move in Englobo Roman numeral 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, It'll be 11, do we need that?
No, we don't need that.
So it'll be through 10, because 11's already been taken care of.
Second.
All right, motion by Vice President Dominic to Globo and introduce those resolutions, second by Commissioner Milton. Are there any questions on any of those resolutions? Are y'all in for?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna make the same motion.
Okay.
With an exception, I wanted to be added as a sponsor on item 8.5 as the Domestic Violence Month. Is that okay with you?
That is perfectly.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Dominic, I see you in. Or was that for the Globo? Okay, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
I wanted to do that in Global, but I also want to be a part of 76 as well.
Which one?
Okay. Domestic violence.
Okay.
Domestic violence.
Okay.
And the breast cancer, I want that one too.
Okay.
Oh,
I was gonna say I
well,
want
you
to be.
already know I'm gonna be
I was gonna say I want to be in on the Timmy Lane, but my signature already on there.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any? All right. Please vote on the Globo in advance. All right. That passes 12-0.
Authorize resolution number 78, a resolution approving the holding of election in Caddo Parish Fire District number 3 for Saturday, March 24th, to authorize a continuation renewal of special tax therein.
So move for introduction.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by the vice chair to introduce.
No, it
That's the
wasn't.
one. I'm sorry. Commissioner Lyndon.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You said for March,
The election's in March, yes, sir.
and that would only be in a certain area,
And Fire District
Yes.
3, yes, sir.
and that's only thing that's gonna be on the ballot.
That I'm not sure of, sir.
It's in Lewis's district, right?
It is.
Yeah, no, but I'm just trying to see if that's gonna be the only thing on the ballot.
Okay.
These two.
So,
Yeah.
what does it matter?
So moved.
I mean, we gotta pay for it.
No, they pay for
They
that.
pay for that.
There's no cost to us?
Well,
Taxpayers pay for it.
No cost to us? Okay.
Those fire
All right.
districts pick up the.
Okay, that's fine. All right, then, I'm good. I just wanna make sure.
Okay. All right.
There's a poll one.
Please vote on introducing some 78.
Yes, sir.
78.
Or,
All right.
I'm just saying, they still gotta do 79.
Should have.
That's what I.
All right. That passes 12-0.
Authorize resolution number 79, 2017, a resolution approving the issuance of
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the Vice President Dominic, second by Commissioner Gage Watts for introduction. Number 79 to Thursday. Please vote.
A quick question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was trying to get to.
Go
Todd, just want to be clear, you know, I talked about it, but there's no indebtedness or contingent liability for the parish associated with this.
It would have to be something awful out of the ordinary, because no, the district pays for theirs with their revenue stream.
Okay.
So,
But this is
and
the.
Ms. Carter is here if you'd like to ask her a question.
But this is the
911 center.
911 center.
Right.
That's
Correct.
correct.
Okay. All right, well, I'd like to ask her.
Mr. Grubb?
Is that your attorney with you?
Yeah. She bring their attorney along.
He just missed y'all. Good afternoon. My name is Martha Carter, and I am the 911 administrator for Caddo Parish. This is giving preliminary approval for us to make application to the State Bond Commission. There is no liability exposure to the Parish Commission. There is no fiduciary responsibility. This is strictly if something awful would have happened to the communications district, this would be solely the district's responsibility. These would be bank qualified, so it would be an indebtedness between us and the bank.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Anything else?
Since we had you here,
Yes,
Ken
sir.
Krepp often comes down and talk about a siren. Have y'all talked to him about the siren? Ken Krepp, tornado siren.
No, we have
Could
not
we
had
put you in
any
touch with him?
discussions. No.
Could we put you in touch with him?
Tell him to call my office. How about that?
I had asked for that also, President, about the tornadoes.
No, I'm serious.
The sirens.
We have not had any communications. Now, he may have had discussions with the Caddo Office of Homeland Security, but not with 911.
But y'all own that building?
We do own that building.
Okay. And you had said, no, you don't want us to put you in touch with him?
No, I said be more than happy to talk to Mr. Krepp.
Okay. Well, we'll try to get Mr. Krepp. Because it seems like,
Tell him to call Mr. Grubb?
Well, it seems like he's talked to everybody, but.
He has not
y'all.
spoken with me.
Okay, I now, every time I
forget the
wanted to
igloo.
ask you that, so.
Hey, don't forget the igloo either. He
Yeah.
wants that igloo hurricane shelter.
So y'all might want to.
I would be more than willing to talk to Mr. Kraft.
Thank you, appreciate everything.
You're welcome.
In case y'all have not if you don't know, this is where we go when we have all of the emergency situations and communications and stuff. So,
Emergency Operations Center.
and they run it very well, so appreciate it. And that's where you find all of your 911 dispatch services at in her office. Okay. I guess I'm the only one who didn't vote. Are we voting on it?
No, yeah, we need to vote.
Okay, please vote on 79. We don't get out of here by 5, I hope. All right, that passes 12-0.
Okay, we went all the way to 10, is that correct?
Yes.
We covered 10. So then we authorized Pam Kendrick as a visitor for regular session?
We did that too. We did.
Okay, authorize Ms.
We should be at
that. Next we move
reports.
to administrative report.
All right, Dr. Wilson.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon, Dr. Wilson.
We have a presentation on Fort Wade today from Mr. Kent Cummings. So Ken, his wife is here to give us a presentation on the utilization of the facility. So Kent, if you would.
Yes, sir. If I may, is this a proposal from administration, or is this just a courtesy presentation?
Courtesy presentation.
Courtesy presentation, okay.
Courtesy presentation, sir.
Dr. Wilson, before they start, do you want to make your,
Yes.
do you want to make your other announcements that are on here before they start?
I can. First, extend my sincere apologies to Mrs. Marilyn Sims on the loss of her cat.
Oh, I thought you was talking about your other.
We certainly regret that incident happening.
Oh, okay.
And also, want to make you aware that at your stations, you should have a handout from me, from Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins did not address the question whether or not it's legal to purchase land or not.
Okay.
So you can read that for yourself. And also, Clay Walker will be introducing his Transformation Zone Advisory Council members on Thursday. And at our last quality breakfast with with Dr. Martha White, she had shared some startling information with us in terms of about our parish. And I thought
STDs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, highest in the nation.
Okay.
So I think you all need to hear what she had to say about that, because we need to be addressing some of those issues if we can.
Okay. Can we advise Dr. White to keep it?
Yes, sir, I will.
Sure.
Yes, sir, I will. Okay, and then also, I just want to, most of you all are aware, sent you all letters that assigned a contract for the feasibility study on animal services last Thursday. That study will be done on December the 15th. It's being done by Dr. Lawrence at LSU, Department of Public Works Institution. And certainly, based on the outcome of that, certainly we will make a recommendation one way or the other on the shelter management. And also, Mr. Brent Tolliver came at Mrs. Cindy Curtis' recommendation. We met with Mr. Tolliver a week before last. He's with the Friends of Animals Association out of Kansas City, Missouri. He came and looked at our shelter, and he agreed to work with us on making improvements in our shelter. So we tell him, come on, get on our team. So we are aware, and we are not proud of the current status quo, but we are certainly going to be addressing it. And hopefully we'll continue to try to work, make things better as we go with animal services. And also, we are aggressively looking at the personnel matter with regards to the cat as well. All right, so, Mr. Kip, you on?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Cummings. This is my husband, Kip Cummings. And we are the, you're not owners because it's a nonprofit, the creators of a nonprofit called Surfari Pals. That's SURFARI. And we are not here today to ask for money, but we are asking for an opportunity to serve Caddo Parish. So what is Surfari Pals? Surfari Pals is the solution to the problem that we don't recognize until it's too late. A lot of people are saying now that kids don't have manners, kids don't have life skills, kids don't have soft skills, they aren't able to present themselves, or they have social inadequacies. Safari Pals works tirelessly to develop curriculum, good character curriculum that helps kids learn these things. We are currently teaching in the Caddo Parish school system. And what we do is we teach as an enrichment program. We go in and as part of the positive behavior program and teach 30 minutes at a time character development skills. Safari Pals is based on prevention as opposed to rehabilitation, which a lot of programs are. Our mission is to teach children in grades 1st through 5th grade the skills that they need to thrive in their homes, their schools, their communities. To stand out and to become our future leaders. And teaching kids good character is more than just our tagline, it's our purpose.
So I want to go into our vision and our purpose. The main purpose of the camp is to provide, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. So our ultimate vision is to transform the Fort Wade facility, that prison, into a children's camp primarily. And our purpose of that camp is, as it says here, if you look at the board, the main purpose is to provide children from low economic communities the ability to attend a summer camp. Going to camp is an incredible experience. I don't know if any of y'all grew up going to camp. I grew up going to camp, and in fact, my parents ran a camp for several years in California. And there's just some kind of experience that takes place when you go to camp. You remember those things forever. The second purpose of the camp is to offer second chance employment opportunities to Caddo Parish citizens. In fact, Jennifer just met with Goodwill. Goodwill has a program that's taking people, they're vetting these folks, and they're looking for opportunities and venues where they could send these people to go to work. We hope to actually facilitate that by allowing an opportunity, a second, third, a fourth chance, whatever it takes to get these people back to being productive citizens in our society, ultimately paying taxes and casting votes. The third, through Camp Safari, we hope to bring people together to support one another and provide community and economic development for Caddo Parish. We believe that revitalizing existing buildings is better for our community than constantly building new things. One of our characters is Jennifer the Jewelfish. Jennifer, my wife, actually taught me about recycling. I grew up not really recycling much of anything, and her character that we developed teaches children to recycle, reuse, and repurpose things that they already have. By using the current buildings and structures already in place and repurposing them for a greater good, we set an example for the others out there. We teach these children at a young age so that when they become teenagers and adolescents, we're actually taking care of the things that we already have. This is what we hope the board will share in our vision with Safari Pals. And one of the things that people ask is, how can we transform a prison facility into a camp? Our whole program is based on a theme of ocean animals and being at the beach. I grew up in Southern California. It's hard to have a bad day at the beach. So we want to basically take the beach and bring it to the kids that may never in their life see an ocean. We're going to take the two guard towers that they have opposite of each other. Those will basically become Lifeguard Station 1 and Lifeguard Station 2. The water tower in the rear of the facility, that's going to be our lighthouse that the kids will see as they drive in. The bars and doors and windows will be wrapped in bamboo, giving a tiki hut feel to the facility. We'll build a beach entry with a slope pool and bring in clean sand to skirt it. The hospital, which is currently on the facility now, will become dorm rooms initially and then an activity center later. The chapel will be our auditorium. We'll remove the razor wire and we'll restore the basketball courts and transform one of them into a tennis court. What we want to do is basically bring a high-energy, low-tech experience to these kids. We're not worried about electronics and what have you. We're worried about having these kids learn to work together, to do team building. These are some of the activities that we have planned: basketball, baseball, soccer. If y'all have ever been out there, that's already in place. There's an awesome baseball facility right on site already. With archery, we want to be self-sustaining. We're going to have gardening on site. There's about a 2-acre plot right now that's already cultivated that they use as a pea farm. If y'all remember the pea farm out there, well, we're going to take and we're going to introduce these kids to gardening. We're going to get them to help grow vegetables. Some will plant, some will cultivate, and the others will pick that and eat our own vegetables on site. We're going to have cooking classes, sewing classes, caring for camp animals and gathering eggs from the chickens. And then we're going to take and integrate all of the characters that we have. Each of our characters that we represent have their own skill set. So we're going to teach, like maybe Joel the Japanese crab is going to teach the kids how to make their bed every single morning. Those are just a taste. In that packet that you have a couple of the actual characters that we're going to use. Who's going to attend Camp Safari? Primarily children who are entering 3rd grade, so they've been through 2nd grade. They're at the end of the school year. They're going into 3rd grade through 5th grades. They live in Caddo Parish, attend a Title I school, and qualify for free lunch. Eventually, we have plans to expand our program to a higher age group. A lot of people have been asking us, hey, what are you going to do for the kids once they go through 5 to 10 years old? We're going to basically move them right into the next level, which is a little more intense program, and we're going to teach different skill sets, and we invite many of these same children back each year to grow with our program and as volunteer helpers. So they're going to start off from age about 5 to 10 initially. They're going to take them from 10 to 15, and then the final stage would be for the teens and young adults, ages 16 to 20. These same children are going to be invited back as mentors and camp counselors. We're going to ask them to take their own personal experiences and successes over the years and teach the next generation. These are kids from their own neighborhoods that are going to be coming back. And it'll also be an employment opportunity as well. And this is kind of our timeline that we have. We believe that we can be up and fully operational optimistically by the summer of 2019. We have a smaller kind of a pilot version being put together now that's going to be our test pilot program that we can actually launch next year. Next summer, we can actually start bringing in probably 25 to 50 kids initially. Camp Safari will basically be developed in 3 phases. Phase 1 has, if you'll look here, so phase 1 is utilizing basically this space right here. It's already kind of segregated from the facility itself, and that houses the hospital, which is right in the middle there. There's a chapel to the right, and then there's also, what's the third part of that, Jeff? Yeah, and then there's a warehouse facility. That warehouse facility is already segregated into 2 complete sections. So it's got one section with a set of showers and restrooms and another section with a set of showers and restrooms. And we can actually utilize that as our initial dorm for the kids so that we can keep them segregated, but still right there. Phase 2 will go and start expanding the program. That area to the lower left, if you see that down here at the very far left on the bottom, that is actually about a 2-acre tract of land that was the pea farm. And we're going to go right back and start using that once again. And then phase 3 is taking the rest of the facility and continuing to build this out so we can actually have more and more children. We plan on bringing in ultimately about 100 kids a week coming in and out and in and out and in and out. Let's go to the next. Here, we don't just want to talk about doing this and living somewhere else. We actually plan on living on site. We're going to be right there. The other day, Jennifer and I were up on Saturday. It was 6:30. I said, wouldn't it be awesome right now to be heading out the door, working on that camp and start pulling weeds and weed eating and mowing and getting this place ready for the kids. There are 3 houses here in Secession. We plan on already living in that first house. We'll use the other 2 houses for camp staff to have somebody on there full-time. The parish has 2 houses already rented out right now, which is awesome. So we're going to basically try to get that facility right there and live right there so we can start working immediately. We'd start tomorrow if y'all would give this to us. Financing of Camp Safari. We're not here, as Jennifer said, to ask the parish or the commission for money. Let me worry about that. We plan on garnering support through donations, multiple fundraisers, business sponsorships of various buildings and facilities, in-kind labor, volunteers, Additional money to help fund the summer program by renting the facility to churches, groups, reunions, whatever we can do to basically bring in revenue, make that place self-sustaining so we can use those revenues to go back in and bring those kids in. Renting out the camping area, there's 8 sites already in place, and then selling vegetables and fruits from the garden and many, many more. We have people already donating money to Safari Pals. We're excited to be able to take those donations and not only expand our school programs that we do, but also start putting that money right back in.
So how will it benefit you guys to give us this piece of property to use for our nonprofit? First of all, it's going to revitalize a liability and transform it back into an asset for the community. We're going to create employment opportunities. Employment creates tax revenue and stimulates the economy. We'll introduce our future our future Caddo employees to character building skills at a young age. So as these kids are getting older and maturing, we've got the cream of the crop to start picking from as employers. Camp Safari is going to work, is going to create collaboration between various communities and civic groups. Like Kip said, we've already been talking to several groups who can't wait for us to get our camp and get started. Just some other contingencies are listed, and everything we've talked about is in your packets on that proposal sheet. And so I just want to leave with 2 things. First of all, we're going to have a camp. We want you guys to partner with us to make that happen in Caddo Parish and as soon as possible. Just imagine the dichotomy of using a prison, something that once housed prisoners, that was used for reform, now being used as a place of hope and a place of learning, a place that will provide experiences for children that will make them better citizens. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Commissioner Vice President Dominic.
So we all weren't asking for any money, but I know y'all talked about some renovations. Or is that something the parish is gonna have to do, or something y'all would plan on doing?
No, sir. We're gonna get out there and aggressively grassroots market this facility.
Okay, so it's no cost to us. And is the camp, is it gonna be just for a summer camp, or would it be?
Well, throughout the year, we're going to use different opportunities of that facility to help raise funds in addition to donations to get our kids funded 100%.
Well, when will the camp be going on for the kids? Primarily
Primarily,
during the summer?
right, June, July, and August, primarily for Camp Safari. Throughout the year, we'll have other opportunities.
Y'all don't have a camp currently going on anywhere?
No, no, sir.
Is this a national organization, or is it just a local?
Well, Safari Pals started here locally. We're getting ready to launch a nationwide subscription service where parents all across the country can go out there. I've had Safari Pals developed and ready to go for several years, and we do have various venues across the country.
You guys live here, or where do y'all live at?
Yes, sir. We're right here. We were at 12 Oaks. Rick Rowe just did a story on us recently.
That's what I thought.
Right, yes, sir. And if you'll, in your packet, Jennifer has the website, safaripals.org, where you can actually see that story that Rick Rowe aired. We sold our house in 12 Oaks to
buy a camp, to own a camp, to run a camp.
That's right.
For kids.
Yeah. Basically, all you're asking for us is the facility.
We need the facility, we need the land, we need the opportunity.
All right, well, thank you for coming here today, and we'll have to lean on the administration for further talks. on this.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks, hey, thanks
y'all.
y'all for all you
We
do
got
out there.
plenty. We got plenty of questions.
Oh, hold on, John.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President.
Yes, sir.
First off, great idea, guys. This is cool. The kids that are going to get the free lunch that can attend, what about kids that don't qualify for free lunch? Can they pay to go to this?
Oh, absolutely. We want to keep this as low a cost as possible. Right now, if you want to go to camp at Pine Cove in Tyler, Texas, you better have about $1,200 for 5 days. So we know that most kids, they're going out there, they're water skiing, they're doing the things that are just really fun to do. We want to do this, as we said, as a low-tech, high-energy camp. We're going to have bike rides, horseback riding, going on nature walks. There's a wonderful Veterans Memorial Cemetery right there where we can take those kids and, talk about what our veterans have done for us.
I'm
sorry, I get a little emotional.
No, that's all right. Or how does this work legally? Do we do like a yearly lease for $1, or how does this work, guys?
That's something that we're gonna have to research. This is, actually a little bit unusual, and, for the most part, it's a little bit difficult, when there's not a monetary transaction involved and you're talking about actual real property, so.
I think in the past.
I have $10 in my pocket, if that helps.
In the past, concerning Building C over next to the regional lab on Crestwell Street, we had a nonprofit there. We did a $1 a year deal with them. They used our facility, and when use is no longer required, it came back to us. Now we have the Veterans Affairs office in there right now. And we have done it in the past.
We can construct it how we need to.
We don't know how to act when people come and they don't ask for money. So.
Well, one of the things that we really plan on doing with that facility, in addition to using that for a camp, is we're going to have our own skin in the game. We're taking our own equity.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, we're running out of things to sell.
Well, it's sold the house, right?
That place has been basically sitting vacant for about 5 years.
Definitely.
And it's just going into terrible disrepair. I mean, if nothing else, you're going to get a lot of sweat equity and people like me going out there, and guys just like you, because Mario, we're going to call on every one of you guys to help us all pull together.
Commissioner Atkins?
We have a grand vision for this, and we realize we're crazy. It's a big project, but we have gone out there over and over and over again, and every single time we go out there, we know for sure that starting a camp for disadvantaged kids is what we're called to do.
Come on, that's a minute.
And we're gonna do it. And we really want y'all to help us. And just imagine the people that would be talking about Caddo Parish and turning that old abandoned prison into a facility that raises up an amazing next generation.
Commissioner Atkins?
Well, I applaud your vision and your passion. It's a very interesting project. Unfortunately, I'm a businessman, and I often throw water on dreams. I'm a realist, and I would just say that I doubt that I personally would not vote to give you the property. Perhaps in a best case scenario, we would vote to lease it to you or something along those lines. But then you've got to think, well, you would be making capital investments in a property that we still own, which is a challenge for you guys, you know, a downside to you guys. But all that being said, I think as I would encourage any entrepreneur, and that's basically what you guys are, is nonprofit entrepreneurs. You know, I hadn't seen a single number in here. Now maybe you've got them, but I don't see them. So you've got, you know, I'd encourage you to go back, think through your capital budget. How much money is needed to invest to get to the property where you want it to be, and when do those investments occur, and what do they total up to? Then think about how, and I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I'd like to see the documents, but once you think about how much you have to invest, then think about how you are going to fund that, and then look at your operating budget. How many employees do you need? How much you're going to have to pay them? How many are going to be volunteers? How many are paid full time? And how are you going to raise that revenue? And I mean, it's a business plan. You need a business plan. This is a vision statement and an interesting concept, but I'd really want to see what your numbers look like before we knew if it was a good project for the parish to pursue.
You're absolutely correct, and I did not bring numbers intentionally, and I am not the least bit ignorant of the fact that I need and have already started working on everything that you just asked for. However, not having a facility, why would I waste my time when I could be pursuing other things? Because if you say no, then I just did 4 months of work for no reason. And this was a vision casting opportunity for us. And I understand. We own 2 other businesses. We understand business plans. We understand budgeting and things like that. And so I'm glad you brought it up, but I didn't bring that on purpose because this is a vision casting. This is a conversation starting.
Okay.
Let me
you understand my
Absolutely.
viewpoint coming into the conversation.
I have some spreadsheets if you want to see them.
I'd be happy to.
Let me alleviate some of that.
Hold on,
Plus, we have no idea how much it would cost.
Right. Well, we got some other folks who have
Okay.
some questions, because to go back and forth.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Commissioner Linda Johnson.
Judge, I thought I was watching an episode of Shark Tank. I thought you was about to say I'm out.
Commissioner Linda Johnson.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Damon Dash right quick. But I agree with Commissioner Atkins about some of the other information that we need to even make an intelligent decision about this. Because we've had other organizations, other entities that come before us and want to do something with the same facility, and it didn't really ever pan out. We've also had our Parks and Recreation submit a plan to us as well that delivered something similar to what you're talking about, but on a different little keel. And to me, that was the prime thing to do. But the commissioners didn't want to go with that because it's going to take a lot of money to bring that up to code that you need to have. So Mr. Rainwater that's in the back, he basically came up with this proposal with the commissioners last term about what we could do with that facility. And I was a little disappointed that we didn't decide to do it because on the back end, I mean, it could have been, if we put the money into it in front in investment, right now we'll be making money off of it. So you might want to talk to him and see about some of the needs and the expenses that were out there. And I'm quite sure a lot of that has deteriorated since then. So,
well, and we know it's a very expensive proposal that we bring to the table.
Yeah.
I know a lot about doing business that way, though.
Okay, but we ain't gonna get it to you free.
That's right. That's okay. I'll do whatever it takes for us to get that facility. But when it comes to raising funds, believe me, I can do that.
Okay.
I moved here a long time ago, so I'm good.
Let the other ones talk.
Commissioner Mills.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Mills.
Okay, thank you.
You can't see
Kip.
this board here, but there's people in the board that's talking.
yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Kip and Jennifer.
Thanks, Mike.
Really like your enthusiasm and everything, and I hope the best for you. I hope it works. And Lynn took my comment about Shark Tank. That's not the purpose of this. This is to introduce the idea.
Sure.
We have a lot of stuff to go through, and we still have an agenda. Thank you for coming
We
out here.
appreciate you, every one of
Fantastic.
you, and your hard work.
Great
out here.
presentation. I've known Kip for years. I know he can put something together, so.
Commissioner Bowman, first time.
Just real quick, I do appreciate the questions Commissioner Atkins had.
Yes, sir.
And I always refer to him as a businessman. He has more expertise in the area than I do. So, but I do believe that God gives people a vision, and you have to go with the vision, and He'll supply and make sure those things. And if you really believe in this, and this is like a ministry, this will come to fruition, and whatever happens, it'll happen in the way that you know it's God, and He'll get all the credit for it, and it'll just be you all's responsibility to make it what you said it would be.
That's right. We're just
Yes, sir.
vessels.
All right.
Well, before I go back to Commissioner Atkins for a second time, I'll just encourage us to get all of the information that we can get. I think I may have gotten some mail, envelope or something.
Yes, sir.
From this group before.
Correct.
So, but we get a lot of information.
Absolutely.
So, we'll be leaning on administration to get us everything that we can. I mean, Commissioner Atkins put it spot on, because that's the first thing I was looking for was some numbers. And next time I get ready to play good cop, bad cop, I know who to call.
He's the man.
Throw water on someone's
I
drink.
love it. I have the best seat in the house.
But let me just say this: I knew that before today, though. So I don't want y'all to think it's anything to y'all. But that's just,
everyone might
All right,
see
Commissioner
the
Atkins.
change.
He's consistent. Go ahead.
May I, is it my turn?
Sure. Yeah.
I was, before that introduction, I was going to apologize for appearing to be too harsh. And I'm sorry, it's just, I immediately revert to like, what do the numbers look like?
That's right.
So, and as business people, you all can understand that. But to finish on a more positive note, I wanted to congratulate you all on your initiative, encourage you to continue to pursue it. And one final point, rent whenever you can instead of buy. Save your capital, and maybe there's I don't know how many acres you need, but go out there and rent some forested land and put up some tents and keep your capital cost to a minimum and hire those people and do it. But don't necessarily get fixated on this piece of property when there's acres and acres of beautiful property all around the parish that probably could be leased or for cheap, or
Like the
maybe,
GM plant.
maybe there's someone with passion that would loan it to you for $1 a year. So don't get fixated on this property.
Thanks.
All right. All right, thank y'all. We'll
Thanks, y'all.
look forward to hearing some more from administration.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings, Ms.
Okay.
Kip, thank you.
Thanks
Appreciate
again,
it.
y'all. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming down, guys.
Appreciate you.
Okay. That concludes my presentation for today.
All right.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask, we've got 2 items that are supposed to be for Thursday, is that correct?
Yes.
Do we want to just move those to visitors?
Sure.
The early portion?
We'll move those on to business.
That's fine.
Just a motion and second to move it to Thursday under visitors.
All right.
Make it short.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gage Watts and second by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn to move those visitors under administration report to visitors for Thursday. So please vote on moving them to visitors. So we're just taking it.
Gonna make sure that our other visitors are also on it too, right?
Correct.
Yes, sir, we have, we do.
Correct.
We have Miss Pam Kendrick.
And we also have Superman Blunt.
Right, he's on there also
Correct.
for Thursday.
And make sure everybody, keep it short now.
Yeah.
Save room for the president's report at the end.
Oh.
That's what we're doing.
All right, that passes 12-0.
Next, we have communication committee reports.
Anybody? Commissioner Linda Johnson.
No.
All right. Any other report?
Yeah, I have a quick one.
I got one.
Commissioner Atkins.
Just wanted to let you guys know the Economic Development Committee met before this meeting. We discussed the funding for economic development initiatives, but we weren't able to get through all of our agenda, and we weren't able to finish up the Industrial Development Board discussion, so we're going to try to continue that on Thursday after this session. So, thank you very much.
Short, Thursday.
Try to keep
So
it
Commissioner
short.
Bowman.
Thank you, sir. And the NGO Appropriations Committee meeting, we met this afternoon at 12. We also ran out of time and went into recess, so we will convene immediately after this, and it'll also be a short meeting. We're almost at the end. Thank you for all those who will be present. That's all, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Chavez.
Real quick, guys, it's just a reminder tonight at 6:30 at Sheriff Safety Town. We're gonna have our annual membership drive, and Mayor Ollie Tyler and Sheriff Steve Prater will be there to give a speech. So if you guys would like to be a member or already a member and would like to rejoin, for your $25 membership, you will get all you can eat catfish. So if you guys come out to Southern Hills tonight, see you guys there.
Commissioner Linda Johnson again.
Well, the first time.
Okay.
I just thought about Tuesday is National Night Out.
Yes.
So you might want to make sure that if you have any block parties that you might show your face, since you are the elected official for that particular area. I typically have about 7 to 9 I have to go to. So
Your list be going, son.
one or two.
Everyone.
Just be mindful of that. I think last year, the Lakeview area won the outside the city limits area for the best participation.
Just step it up.
The challenge.
All right. Commissioner Gage Watt.
Thank you, sir. Yes, we do have a lot of National Night Out to attend on tomorrow night, but I wanted to ask you, Commissioner Johnson, you talked about doing something within the parish to mirror what is going on with the city. Are you still looking into that event?
Talking about the National Night Out?
Yes.
Well, last year we did the kickoff of it, so I assumed that it was still going on, but right now it's too late. We can probably look at it for next year.
Yeah, I think
Since
that
it's
would be
tomorrow.
a great idea for the people who are just only in the parish and not in the city.
Yeah. Now all they got to do is contact the sheriff department to block off the road, have the road block off, and then they can have the party.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
All right. That's it. Do I go?
Motion.
President's report.
Thursday?
We'll, and it's National Night Out, but Shreveport Night Out, 'cause I think there's some legalities with that. And that official kickoff, I believe, is over at the Masonic Temple. So if you want to be there for that. I also want to remind everybody that Site Selectors Conference that's going on in town will have national economic development folks in town. And if you can come by those receptions that they'll have to meet with those folks. And we'll also have a tribute to domestic violence here on Thursday. So if we could just maybe wear some purple or some shade of purple. And
I got plenty of purple.
yeah, and if you want to spare some, share
red
some
on
with us.
today.
But,
It's orange. Colors
Look,
are-
you look at
It's
that.
red on
look
the
if you
behind
look
it.
at the, what's his name, it's red.
Orange.
But domestic violence, we'll do just a quick tribute to them on Thursday with the proclamation, and so their folks will be here. And Dr. Wilson, the lady whose information that I sent to you on Facebook, if we could get
Yes, sir.
that
We
cleared
have
up.
update for you.
Okay. All right. That's it for me.
Okay, next we have citizen comments, late arrivals. I have no cards.
I have none.
Move to adjourn agenda. Consent agenda. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Chavez to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.
All right.